Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dope Shit Podcast. NASA, Banana, the dopest of shit. Let's go.
Yeah, so if you're listening, thank you. If you're viewing this somehow on YouTube, hit the subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening, go to the Uncommon Records YouTube and subscribe there for other cool content. That is youtube.com/Uncommon Records. No spaces. There's a lot of imposter Uncommon Records on YouTube. We won't give them any shine, but they're out there. So yeah, head over there and subscribe. We're a couple away from 800, which is really dope. And the goal is to hopefully get to 1,000 by the end of the year. So we'll see what happens.
Let's do it.
So now, this episode. Man, this is an episode we shouldn't have to do. It's so I had the idea to do an episode sort of about this topic. The topic has sort of expanded since I brought it up, but I recently came across an artist that I'm a big fan of. I won't get into the name of the artist because I respect them a little bit too much to just, I'm not trying to call anybody out. It's not really my style anyway. But I was super disappointed by comments that were made by this artist on stage. It's not Busta Rhymes. I know that video is going around. It was a different artist. I mean, I'm disappointed in him too, but it's not who I'm talking about. I'll say that much.
At this point, there are just so many, though. Like, why even try and narrow it down to an anonymous rapper?
Yeah.
Let's just go.
So they're on stage and they go into this big diatribe about how everyone should take their masks off. This is in a venue like that is supporting, music happening. It's a European stage, so it's rules are probably a little bit different than here in the States. But
Probably better.
Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't count on that. It depends on where you are, I guess. But in any case, yeah, they're on stage and just going off about are you tired of your government yet? And I'm kind of like, I'm pretty tired of my government. Okay, I'm with you. Well, if you're tired of everything that they're doing and everything that's going on, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking like Afghanistan or a multitude of other things that my government is doing incorrectly right now. And then they're like, rip off your masks and break the chains of slavery that they're putting on you. And I was like, whoa, no.
A whole lot of wild comparisons being thrown out about vaccines and masks in relation to atrocities throughout history.
To call that shit hyperbolous would be the understatement. That is almost hyperbolous in and of itself. I don't know. I think me and you come from a background or an understanding that we feel like everyone should understand the realities that are happening around them. My original idea to talk about was like, well, what happens when one of your favorite artists says something that you are either diametrically opposed to or just is embarrassing that they said that. What do you do and how do you feel? But I think it's grown further, and I'll raise it this way instead, although that could be part of the conversation. I think a big part of this is it's coming from musicians, it's coming from venue owners, it's coming from people that work in venues. And on one hand, I feel bad because a lot of folks are losing their way of income. But I don't feel bad when people's loss of income makes them support and say things that they either know are not true or convince them to buy into things that are not true or put other people's lives at risk. That's what I would say. I mean, what do you think about that in general? Do you think that there's I think this firmly, but I think that there is a sort of like a self-interest. Maybe it's subliminal, maybe it's not. Depends on the artist, it depends on the person. I'm not calling anybody out in particular, but I think there's a particular self-interest in, ushering people back to quote unquote normal if you're in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like you I mean, I understand like wanting to get to a normal, but the thing is like a normal isn't achieved by telling people to rip their mask off. I think like that's been sort of a thing that we've seen throughout the pandemic is a lot of people wanting to do what they think is right in the short term, regardless of what it means for the long term. And I think that any artist out there advocating for people to rip their masks off is is actually like pushing back the ability to return to normality. Like it's stupid. It's really stupid. And it's fucking irresponsible. I think that's really like the worst part of it is just like the sheer irresponsibility of it. Like and just like the dangerousness, like
It's also so myopic that like um not only do you want to push the entertainment industry back to quote unquote where it was, but you want to do it in the exact way that you want to do it.
mhm.
You don't want to have people check for their vaccines on cards on their way in. You don't want people to wear masks. You don't want people to social distance. You don't want limits on attendance or occupation of a space. You don't want to only do outdoor shows in certain areas where that's possible year round. You know, everybody wants things exactly the way that they were.
Yeah, of
and
course,
and
but
and and, and well, I shouldn't say everybody. Well, I mean, I think everybody does want things back exactly where they were, but I
yeah, I think
also think
so.
that some of us understand that that's not possible.
Yeah.
um I've been through other things in my life where there's a before and an after that moment, whether it's a personal thing that has
Mhm.
happened in my life that only affects me and family and that kind of thing, or it's a universal thing like a 9/11 or what have you, that is a world history moment that changes everything before and after it. And I have lived through such moments, and I don't quite understand the selfishness to not realize that those moments are going to happen in your life whether you like them or not. I am a person who spent many years trying hard to live off the music, and then I finally hit a point where I understood that that wasn't going to, in all likelihood, take place. That I was going to have to continue to develop my 9 to 5 career to be able to live in a place that is desirable to live in and support my family. Realizing that you're not going to be able to kind of feed your family and keep yourself housed in a favorable situation just off of music is a big thing.
Mhm.
I think a lot of us, frankly, need to find that place. Um, And I think, trying to continue to squeeze juice out of rocks is not going to help anybody.
Mhm.
Um, there's not that much more to give in music under a pandemic condition. Uh, uh, it kind of is what it is.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of musicians like myself that don't need to tour to survive. And there's a certain privilege in that, but I also think there's a lot of privilege in living off of being an artist. So let's make sure that we, keep things straight. You know what I mean? Like, if you're living
Yeah.
off of being an artist and only an artist, and more power to you, some of these folks deserve that. Um, Not just in a subjective way, but in a accomplishment way. and some are just getting by and doing it, and that's fine too. Everybody has their own path in life, but when you try to put your path in life and your lifestyle and the quality of life you created for yourself through art ahead of people's health and safety and their ability to work and maintain whatever job they're doing, a lot of people, can't get sick, don't
Mhm.
have those kinds of jobs. Being in quarantine for a month doesn't work when you work in certain environments.
Mhm.
Being out of commission for 2 weeks doesn't work in certain environments. And I'm not just talking about people that have like the blue collar hard jobs. It's very true for those people, but even people that are doing, say, middle management type jobs, to miss 2 weeks of work puts you so far behind that it could affect your career at
Mhm.
your place of work. It could affect your paycheck. And that's just the minute thing that could happen to the average person that gets sick with COVID. Obviously, this is a life or death situation. You could lose your life if you come down with this.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important for more artists to say that and stand by that and find other ways of producing revenue besides dragging people out of their houses into a fucking packed venue and then, you know, mansplaining to them that they should take their fucking mask off.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing though is, like, for the people, making their living off of music, like, there have been other ways to survive in the pandemic. We talked about some of them. Like, we talked about, the quote unquote live shows that people are doing. And, like, that's a thing that, like, that tier of artist could do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, obviously, like, the people, like, yeah, I mean, it's not like gonna, like, that shit doesn't instantly, like, turn musicians into, like, people making a living. But I feel like the people who were making a living, like, touring, could make a living doing live shows online. Like, that's a certain, like, privilege point, I think.
Well, we also live in a society where you can go through a worldwide pandemic and people still have money to buy your vinyl,
Yeah,
by and large. So like
also that too.
I know that I, with Uncommon Records, have only sort of doubled down since 2020 began in terms of like making music, putting music out, manufacturing physical media, and that continues through to this day.
Yeah.
And we've seen growth through doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
In a very like, you know, DIY way, like we've really developed a fan base of people, and thank you to everyone that has supported us as a label, all of the different artists on the label, like, where people are coming out of their pocket to buy things from
mhm.
musicians, not just us, but others. And people are willing to open their wallets and do that. And again, like if that's not enough for you, then there are other problems going on, I think, in life for people that's not enough for, or that's not the right path for.
Were we talking about the same person at the beginning?
I don't think so.
Okay. So can I just talk bluntly and openly about Homeboy Sandman at this point in the program?
You can, sure.
All right. So, like,
That's not who
so
I was talking about, to clarify, but
I
I
do
I
want to know.
but I am aware of the situation.
So, yeah, I mean, like, earlier, uh like, I guess this is coming out on Monday. So whenever this happened, I mean, recently, Homeboy Sandman got caught in a similar situation, wrote emails and sent them out
Right.
to everybody who had bought tickets. It's like, don't get vaccinated, don't wear masks, show up to the show. And his tour was canceled. And he
Hmm.
got dropped from his booking agency,
Hmm.
who very quickly socially distanced themselves. The interesting thing that I saw, because I saw this unfold on Twitter, because obviously that's how I get my news. I don't know how you get your news, honestly. I have no clue. You
I
must
get
be
it the old
blogs or
fashioned
something.
where like people just text me things. And I'm
Oh
like, oh,
shit. I
okay.
don't have good enough friends.
Yeah, that's the only way I find out about anything these days. I try to avoid news,
But
particularly rap-oriented news. I do not want to know about it usually. But yeah, go
but
ahead.
one thing I found interesting, and was kind of happy to see, is that uh like I didn't really see any like pushback. I didn't see anybody being like, no, this was the wrong move. Sandman's totally right. Don't get vaccinated. Everybody was just like, wow, fuck him. And some people were just like, I'm not going to listen to this cat's music anymore.
I generally speaking have a non-artist speak against artist policy on this show for myself at least. But I will say that um I would not have done that. That is not a choice I would have made by any means. And
What choice
the
to
choice to email a bunch of people to not get vaccinated, it's just not something that I would do. I think that's obvious. I think that's what most people would not do. I think when you are, you know, in a situation, and this could be anybody's, it doesn't have to relate to his. Like, if you're in a situation where you are clearly working with a promoter and with vendors that are trying to adhere to local laws, not have their fucking liquor licenses stripped, not have their occupancy licenses stripped, not get people sick in their community, and they are actively and obviously taking measures to ensure some level of safety in the middle of a pandemic, and you're going against that, that doesn't help anybody get paid,
No,
and it doesn't help the bartender at that bar, it doesn't help the artist, it doesn't help the promoter, it doesn't help anybody. And
it just
again,
holds
like,
people
you
back.
can't fight the clouds, like, the shit is this is here. If there's a particular person, no matter who they are, artists or not, listening, that does not understand that this is a real disease that affects real people that have gotten ill and also died, then there's not a whole lot more that we can do. I have dealt with family members, um, on both sides of my family, that just simply don't believe in vaccines. They don't believe in COVID. They don't like masks. And I eventually I got tired of making the argument, and I'm kind of tired of making the argument with very quick time to fellow artists and musicians as well. Like, you can't argue with stupid,
Yep,
and
that's true.
I just, there's a certain time where it's more of a waste of my time than it is a
Mhm.
benefit for anyone else. And if someone chooses to live life in denial, that's fine. After 9/11, there were a lot of people that denied it took place, even though it was obvious that it did. There were a lot of people that thought it was an inside job, even though it was obvious that it was not. And I always said at the time that these are people that can't deal with reality. They don't want to come under the understanding that, for whatever reason, good, bad, or ugly, that there are people that do want to damage this country in that way and murder as many people as possible in that way. And if that scares you, then I totally understand it. I was terrified that entire time period of my life. Um, and it happened for me at a young adult age. Probably not the healthiest time for that to take place. And but I dealt with it. And the way that I dealt with it is I acknowledged the reality. I started reading extensively about the Middle East and about Afghanistan, and I taught myself how to understand context of why these things happen instead of denying that they have happened.
Mhm.
And I really think that that is what's taking place now. I think that a lot of people that are these deniers are just, they cannot deal with reality. They can't cope with what is taking place around them and how horrible and horrific and out of our individual controls it is. And I empathize with, those sorts of mental breaks. But I also am not going to let somebody else's sort of mental weakness or lack of understanding affect my health and my lifespan,
Yeah.
and or anyone that I care about. So, it feels like you shouldn't have to say these things, but I guess you do. Maybe you don't, because maybe at this point, I'll say this too, like, we've all been through this for way too long. We deserve for this to be over, but we haven't earned this to be over. That's the problem.
Yeah.
We all deserve this to be over. I think there's a lot of attitude of like people that wear masks like really enjoy wearing masks. Like, no one likes wearing a mask. No
No.
one. There's not one person on earth that wants to wear a mask. If you are on a mission where you have to wear a mask and you are a ninja or a military person of some sort, once that mission's over, you take off the mask. So like there's not any human even before COVID. I'm trying not to make light of it, but it's almost like you have to baby talk people to some degree,
Yo.
because like, you know, nobody likes wearing a fucking mask. I
No,
don't
no
I
one's
don't like
enjoying
wearing.
this shit.
No one's enjoying it. Nobody is taking pleasure in, having to go to a fucking neighborhood high school gym and get vaccinated by a stranger, that's not your doctor, that's in a public place, twice, for most cases, unless you got Johnson and Johnson. Um, People don't like that.
No.
I didn't like that, but I did it because I understood that the alternative was the possibility of getting a disease that could kill me, or kill someone that I care about. So I don't know, man. I'm off on one now, but like, it relates to music because art is in a lot of ways a privilege to create. If you are a creative enough mind to create anything, you're extremely lucky to be blessed with that talent, or to be blessed with the willpower to develop that talent on your own. And that's not everybody gets to do that. So don't use that power to divide. Use that power to bring people together. Um, Hold on. I can't do this. What are you doing?
Oh, jeez.
Jesus. Cat is such an asshole. Fucking Luchini, man. The
Falling
cat,
out the sky.
the cat of cats. Yes, he definitely fell out of the sky and landed at my door. All right. Fuck. What was I saying?